Hey, greetings, friends. Jacque Howard here. Trenton 365 presents Jacque's Reach. Reach is an acronym that stands for Recreation, Environment, Art, Civics, and Health. And under each one of those subjects, I like to partner with individuals, organizations, nonprofits, businesses, and develop my own strategies to do different things in those areas. Today, I'm going to be speaking with the Trenton Green Team Chair, Larry Paul. Now, Larry Paul is quite involved in lots of things that are happening in the area. He grew up in the region. He spends lots of time here in Mercer County and is very involved not only with nonprofits, but also with the municipal governments. And then he's got his own nonprofit. But today we're really going to be focusing on the Trenton Green Team. And then I'm going to encourage you to take a moment, jot down some information about what Larry's going to be talking about, and then reach out to him and figure out how you can become more involved in the network that he's a part of, talking to young professionals, working with students who were in school, and then also touching his toes into the senior or seasoned population. We often like to call them the seniors, but Larry Paul's around doing a bunch of different things. We're going to be introducing you to him if you haven't heard from him in a short amount of time. But again, I want you to get a writing utensil and a piece of paper. Take some notes. In this short amount of time, this 30 minutes or so, it's very difficult to get all the information that you need. And part of what we do is to hope to stimulate you in some capacity so that that puts you into a space of not only being aware of what's happening, but also motivating you to take action steps to be involved in building the community that you want, that you are a part of. For years and for decades, so many people have been sitting on the sidelines of games or not participating for various different reasons. Well, myself and my network and a lot of other people are here to say that those rules and things just don't apply anymore. We need to be actively involved and engaged in what we're trying to develop in our communities, in our neighborhoods, in our schools, in our employment opportunities, in the businesses that we create as well. If we do not do that, we are now putting ourselves into the space where other people who are more organized, more readily available, more knowledgeable about the impact and the power that unification and working as a community has will easily leapfrog other communities. And we can take a look around and say that there's obviously a lot of that has been done over the years, but there's ways for us to do different things, to pivot just slightly, change our mindset slightly, and then move into a direction that's more unified, more community driven, more raising up the whole community as one. So with that, again, please, I'd like for you to grab a writing utensil and a piece of paper. I'm going to be bringing on Larry Paul of the Trenton Green Team, but he does a lot more than that. Larry, welcome, my friend. Hope all is doing well.
First and foremost, Jacque, I want to say thank you for welcoming me to your platform, which is much needed and much appreciated. So that's the first thing I wanted to say. Second thing I wanted to say is it's so crazy when you wear all these hats, right? Sometimes you kind of forget what hat am I wearing and what am I doing, right? But really, how I like to be seen is just as somebody that participates. Right. A couple of years ago, I learned that if you're going to do anything in your community as far as complaining, changing, or anything of that nature, the best way to do that is by participating. So you can kind of understand the problems that you truly are facing and you can help solve them. Right. Standing on the sidelines with your opinions doesn't really matter if you're never getting in the game. Right. And so this is about just getting in the game. So about 2 years ago, I joined the Green Team. What I was doing was I was working with Miss Pearline Waters at Better Community Housing, and she was like, "Larry, as community outreach, I need you to go to different things for me, like 4Cs meetings, ETC meetings." And I was like, "No problem, Miss Pearl. Anytime I got free time, I'll go." And so I started off representing Better Community Housing at the Green Team meetings. And I just enjoyed the conversations. I enjoyed learning about what the Watershed Institute was doing in the community, seeing what Isles was doing in the community, and I was like, "Wow, it's so wild that something like this exists, where all these organizations that are doing amazing environmental work are doing this, and a lot of our community doesn't know about it." And so I started doing it, and around June of last year, Jim Simon has stepped down. He was the chair of the Green Team. and it was a little bit impromptu because he was leaving Isles, and we didn't know what we was gonna do. And so I was reached out at that time by Michael Kobler, who asked me to just host the meetings. And hosting the meetings turned into leadership meetings, and it turned into chair of the green team. And so luckily I was able to get my VP, who is a Gulu Brewer, who I met doing amazing community work with Isles. And he was like, you know what, I'll do it with you as well. So he's been my VP since I've been the chair, and we've been able to do some amazing initiatives this last year. For five that truly come to mind. And so we've initiated a litter campaign, not so much to head every single litter activity that's going out there, but at least partnering with the organizations who have that at heart and making sure that we're at least keeping something consistent every single month. So we partner with companies like Tough, with like Trenton United Foundation. We've connected with people like the city of Trenton, and we've been able to accomplish almost a city cleanup every month in the year of 2024. So that has been some amazing stuff, not just with Green Team, but what the Green Team is doing is now we're tracking that information. And the goal is to continuously to not just to clean, because Jacque, me and you have had this conversation about how effective the litter campaigns and actually cleaning up the streets are, right? But it's more so to show I care about this area. However many times you're going to mess it up, that's how many times I'm going to clean it up because I just care about this area. It's less about is it going to get dirty again, how long, or the impact of it just being clean. Eventually, so many of us will start to do it that it will look like a Princeton, a Hamilton, a Lawrence, where you just have completely different sceneries, right? And that's the main goal of that. Our most successful thing, and Jacque, you have been a part of this, has been our Trenton Trail walks, man. When I tell you, man, we have an amazing team. And I already told you guys about Gulu, but I mean, when we talk about people like Rebecca Taylor, if you know her as Becky Taylor, she has done an amazing job with her partner, Tim Brill, on bringing those walks to life. Since June, we have covered about 100 miles worth of walking in the city of Trenton. And our goal for next season is that we do 1,000 miles. Okay. And so we got some good goals, and we've been able to connect with people like you, Jacque. You've hosted a walk and led it from downtown Trenton over to Morristown Bridge and back. And I love these walks because you don't only just get the exercise, but when you go on it with really good people, you get the history lessons, right? And from my age group, that's everything. Because when we were supposed to be learning history, we was being entertained. And so now that history stuff, it hit different now. Now I want to know it, right? So it's like, oh man, okay, look at Trenton, right? And so just amazing, amazing things going on. And I will be remiss if I didn't talk about our tree planting. We had a tree planting campaign that we've been doing. We planted 100 trees in Calwater Park back in May. That was awesome. And we're actually about to plant about 40 trees on West State Street over the next month or so. We have 2 days planned in October and November. I'm sorry, the days are missing me for a second, but if anybody is interested, please follow up with me after this, and I'll definitely get the details to you.
Mhm. Larry, thank you so much. That was a great introduction. And I know you touched on a few things, but not nearly as much as everything that you're involved in. And thank you for the kudos and shouting me out. But it's likewise back to you, because that's what it's about when you're working as a team, you're working as a community. All of us are doing our part. It's like the functionality of the body. Maybe one day certain muscles don't feel so good. Well, the other muscles have to pick that up. Or if there's like, a foot out of place, well, we've got strategies to get it wrapped up and casted, and you got your crutches and so forth, so you can keep going with what you're doing. And a lot of the work that you've been doing for over the years that I've known you and prior to us spending time with you has been always about aligning yourself with people and organizations that have that same mindset. You mentioned earlier about Isles and Gulu, Better Community Housing, Miss Perline. And then you mentioned the Tough organization and Trenton Walks with Becky and Tim. It's obvious to me that you recognize that there is no one person who's going to do all of this work. Can you just talk to the audience about the importance of people recognizing that this is has to be larger than one person getting things done?
Absolutely. I think there have been many a ways to make money over time, right? Owning agriculture, land, owning machinery, and things like that. In 2024, the best way to have upward economic mobility is strategic partnerships. That is understanding what other people do well that you don't, and having them fill that gap for you, and what they're weak in, you fill that gap for them. So luckily, just by trade, my trade and my skills, my degree, everything I went to school for is in accounting. And so I've always been good with numbers. And if you are not good with numbers, they can be intimidating. But when somebody like me comes along, who numbers are my friend, and we make sure that they everything in life is supposed to work for us, not against us, right? And so I make sure people understand how them numbers is supposed to work for you, and take away some of that behind financial literacy, financial freedom. What do those things mean? And actually help people get comfortable with their finances. And so because of that, it's allowed me to share that value with so many different people who have shared things with me. I had no idea that we had our trails histories or the history of the DNR Canal, right? But by partnering with Becky Taylor on these trails, well, I get to learn that stuff. You know what I mean? Because she worked with the Lawrence Hopewell Trail Committee for 20 years, right? So what better way to learn about our city's history and trail than somebody like Becky? And it just showed me the power of networks, and then as somebody that's in business, before you have a team of people that you can hire and that you just bring on because you have that capital, you just got to learn how to work with people so you can get things done. And that's kind of how we've been stimulating everything in Trenton this last year. And it's been amazing, man. A lot of talented people willing to share their skills, not just in business, because business is my passion, but we have an amazing art scene. We have an amazing food scene, right? We have an amazing, vibrant community that's diverse. And so it's a lot of things, but we gotta know what's going on, or else you'll just lean on the past traumas, right? Trenton is dangerous. Trenton is drug ridden. Trenton is, which in certain areas and certain times, these things are absolutely accurate. What I would ask though is, what are you providing towards a solution towards these problems you are identifying?
Mhm.
You
And,
know,
and and Larry, I want to say that I appreciate you saying that because oftentimes, we can have people who are very active in organizations. They go to meetings, they're very well known and recognized, but their mindset is more of one of aggression or pointing out what the problems are, but not having a solutions-based mindset or having the personality to be able to work with a group of solution-based people. So therefore, we now have these fissures where maybe someone who's been around in the neighborhood or on an an organization for a certain matter of time, they feel as though they've got more juice than someone else who's coming on, and they don't want to pivot what they've been doing for decades, even when we can explain to them that, hey, now is the time for us to change what we've been doing. We've got a crop of younger people who have a different vision and a different mindset who can take up the mantle. And the work that you've done, it won't go away. We're not going to forget about that. We're going to document it. We're going to tell everybody about it. We're going to get it over to the Trentoniana room so that when researchers are trying to find out all the history, it's there. But we're not going to let that prevent us from moving forward or prevent us from having other talent that's waiting to get involved in this process to not get involved because of one person. No, we have to do better than that. And I'm glad to hear that you've touched on that. And I would assume that in the meetings that you're attending, you're articulate, excuse me, you're not articulating is what I wanted to say. You are presenting a strategy to reveal the scales from people's eyes who don't see that, but then present an offer and a solution that you're not just saying, hey, go over there and get the information. You're saying, no, come with me. I will go over with you, introduce you to the people who are doing this, and then let's come up with a strategy together so we can all kind of work together and get this done. Because as a community, as a city, as a county, as a state, we are a much bigger entity. And what's going on our individual blocks or in our houses is one thing, but we have to recognize the importance of us working with larger folks. And I appreciate what you've done with taking the realm or the lead of the green team with Gulu and others. It's something that's definitely needed, even from the action steps of the litter campaign, the Trenton walks, and the tree planting, but also along the side of the advocating for clean water, the advocating for lead abatement, heavy metals. What are we doing with food? All those different things are very important. And I appreciate you leading up the green team now and for the work that you're doing with that. And I want to continue to encourage you to do that. I do also want to make sure that we touch on your entrepreneurial work, because you've done since we first met, and I'm not going to get back to the potential family relation that we may that we may have, but the work that you've done in finance, HR, accounting, etc. Can you just touch on that a little bit? Because I'd like for the audience to know a bit more about what you're doing and how well-rounded you are with your professional skills and service.
Absolutely, man. And so thank you for asking. And um I've been doing taxation accounting since I've been 18 years old. My mother had told me about this program that had came out called TurboTax, and we are talking about 2006. So I know today everybody knows TurboTax, right? But we're talking about pre-Facebook, pre all of this stuff we have today, right? And my mom said, you took honors accounting. I want you to try this. And so I took her W-2 and I went through the tax code and I kind of did her taxes for her. And she owed money. And she said, I don't think you did this right. I'm going to H&R Block. So she went to H&R Block and had them process her taxes, and she ended up owing more money going to H&R Block than if she did it with me. She came back and said, Larry, you might be good because they charged me $150 more than what you said. And I said, see, you should. And so my confidence from trying things and doing stuff early was high. And so I went to school for accounting. And as I'm taking my accounting courses, I'm like, none of this has anything to do with taxes. I'm literally learning about bookkeeping, managerial accounting, right? Reconciling books and stuff like that. And I'm like, where do you go to learn taxes? So when I was 22, I took an H&R Block course. They held them at Franklin Mills Mall. I was living in Bensalem, PA at the time. And H&R Block is the number one organization when it comes to tax filing and teaching the tax code. So I didn't know that when I joined it. They was just close to me and hosting classes. But when I learned that when the IRS audits you and they don't have the manpower, they outsource everything to H&R Block. So that is who really comes and does your tax returns and do these things. When I started to learn these things, I'm like, okay, they're really good. And so I took a course with them. I practiced with them, but I had a really good job at the time. So I didn't work with H&R Block. I always had my own tax practice where I was doing taxes for people. Then I found out you don't need a degree to do taxes for people. You need a PTIN number, right? And so I went and I got that from the IRS. And so I was able to now start doing, so I learned step by step, year by year, just from doing it, how to register by yourself without needing these designations. But for me, for my confidence to talk with clients, I did go and get my degree from, at the time, it was Kaplan University. Today, it is Purdue University Global. It was one of the top 5 business schools. And so Purdue University actually bought them. And so they are now a subsidiary of them. But yeah, and so for the last 4 years, that accounting experience started to turn into business consulting. Because when you see the numbers and you're able to help people make decisions based on what the numbers say, they have data now. They're not just shooting from the hip, making decisions because that's how they feel, right? And so it allowed me to build out a niche where people who have money trust me with the decisions that I'm saying based on the data. And I've kind of transitioned that into business consulting, which has led me to be able to do stuff like be the economic development chair for the NAACP, our local Trenton chapter, and do things like tonight, we're hosting a grant writing workshop that's completely free to the community. We have some amazing grant writers from Mercer County who have acquired over $10 million in grant funding, who's going to be giving tips and tricks to our young professionals completely for free tonight. And these are the type of opportunities we're creating. We know the obstacles that we have, right? We know about redlining, we know about racism, we know about blockages, we understand these things. But in January, Ralph Baraka came to Trenton and he said, I need everybody to have an agenda. And I didn't understand how important that was. And so I created an agenda. But why that was important is because I started telling and showing other people my agenda, and they realized they agree with it, and it gave them a plan to step on. And that is what our people, I think, need more than anything. I think we need to create our own agendas. And what you're going to find is you're going to find people who actually have that same agenda. And you get to align with those. So that's why I operate with so many organizations. I'm a treasurer of the Young Professionals Network with Jacque Edwards and Quayshawn Williams, right? I'm the economic development chair of the NAACP and get to work with people like Austin Edwards and Larry Trailer, right? So being a part of these organizations has just allowed me to kind of meet these people that also do the work. And that's why we're just going to be more successful going into 2025.
Mm. Awesome, Larry. I think that was fantastic, and I love how you presented it. I'd like in the next couple of minutes for you to make a bit of an appeal to the folks who may be fresh, maybe new, maybe not as connected or engaged, or have only heard the negativity about getting things done here in the city and in this region and how tough it is and how like you just got to get out of this area. I'd like for you to just to speak to those folks specifically. I'd like for you to talk to the different audiences too, not only the youth who are younger than you, who are coming into that place where they're trying to make some decisions, but the young professionals that you're a part of, and then also to the folks who are a bit more seasoned, talking to them about maybe the latter years and what it's like here in the city.
Absolutely. So the first thing I'll say is you have to experience some of the things that we're saying on your own to truly feel the energy, right? And so when I talk about young professionals, the only reason that is so important and why that even gets to exist is because we have trailblazers. We have people in our community like Jacque Howard, like Darren Freedom Green, like Janine LaRue, right? People who have done amazing things that we've gotten to see for 20, 30 years in their element. Mayor Palmer, right? And so once we created the Young Professionals Network, we had the Black Business Alliance, who was created by John Harmon of the African American Chamber of Commerce and Mayor Palmer, and they have been helping us navigate our nonprofitry, our businesses, creating openings where we can speak on panels and things like that. So the work that we're doing is truly built off the foundation that our trailblazers have done. And I can name so many of them, right? Mr. Stacy over at Isles, who helps us with the marketing, you teaching us the importance of broadcast and communications. And these are things that our community needs to know. And you guys knew front and back. You got to have communicate. You got to have press release. You got to have things. My generation, we didn't know those things. And in order for us to get better and get great at those things, we have to connect with you. So our older people, please understand, we don't want to rift. We don't want to divide. We need unity. So if you have value that you could add, although you may hear the Young Professionals Network, we absolutely want our older generations, people that got good knowledge. If you have a skill or a trade, Better Community Housing and Isles, we are bringing back trade programs so people can be electricians, right? People can be plumbers, and we need those, especially when we talk about economic development. It's not just business, it's real estate too, right? And so we are tying, the reason why I love economics is it ties everything together. That's truly why I love it. When I talk about, well, how does the city government work? How do they make their money? Why is them owning the city bad? Because they get most of their revenue from taxes. So the best thing to do is let everybody else own the stuff so they can collect as much tax money as possible, right? And so I understand people are angry because of the past, right? Trenton has had issues. We've had plans that we thought were going to go good in the past, and they had terrible effects. And I don't think anybody's to blame, right? There's been legislation Mayor Palmer passed at the time. He thought he was getting the city of Trenton money and contracts. And really what he got was a lot of affordable housing deals, right? So that didn't set up right. However, the state of New Jersey is in the process of fixing some of these things, but we get more resources, we get more help, and we get more participation. So I'm not going to encourage you to join groups that's not a part that don't align with what you want. What I encourage you to do is find out which groups in the community are doing things you support and come out and support them. Because nonprofits get more funding when they have more support. Governments get more funding when they have more voters and more support. So come out so you can be counted, so these companies and these governments can get more money from your participation.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Larry, because that was that was spot on. And I'm looking at the timing, and I think that this is a great way to us to transition just for the next couple of moments and talk about what you and I are going to be doing. Thank you again for all the kind words, not only about myself, but about others who are the trailblazers, as you had mentioned, and then also for the appeal for young people to get involved in this process, be a part of building out the city the way that you would want, even if you're not planning on being here for 30, 40, 50 years. Get involved in the process, figure out what's happening, learn some strategies, techniques, how government works, so that you can take that, like the saying says, Trenton makes, the world takes, get that information and knowledge here, take it with you wherever you go. Who knows? The Lord may have you coming back here at some point in time, more refreshed, more knowledgeable, etc., with some experiences. And Larry, I'd like for you to finish up with this and just talk about what we've been discussing about the Green Team and a podcast. Us sitting down talking about Green Team initiatives, bringing on folks who are part of the Trenton Green Team and the other surrounding Green Teams in the county, and also some of our partners, like you mentioned, the Watershed Institute. We'll definitely be talking to some folks about lead abatement and also water quality and things of that nature. But just from your perspective, just drop a little knowledge about the Trenton Green Team podcast.
Well, first and foremost, when I first joined the green team, I had the same mindset everybody normally has when they hear it. Okay, these are going to be environmentalists. They're going to be only talking about things green. But when I really understood that it was really about a sustainable Jersey and all the things that the green team is a part of. So in 2021, we had to get certified. And there are three tiers of certification. So there's bronze, silver, and gold. There's only 5 municipalities in our entire state, and there's about 400 municipalities. And so there's only five in the entire state that have gold certification. So silver is seen as that prestigious certification. And in 2021, Trenton was able to get silver certification for the first time, which was very good. Just showing the people that we're leveling up. And so when I went to this certification, I actually got to learn all the 17 things that go into sustainable Jersey and to find out how much of them did not have the whole green centric that you would think was, it was astounding, but it was good to see that it's not just about just outside, right? You have brownfields, you have diversity and equity because a city being sustainable can't be sustainable if it's not diverse. If
Amen.
if they don't have good economics, where the people in the South Side feel comfortable spending money with the people in the West Side, right? And so there's designations for food. What got me, and everybody knows my heart is in economics, but local economies and how they're run, how to rebuild a downtown, which last year was my first time at NJ League of Municipalities, and it was just amazing. But yeah, Green Team just has everything for everybody, and so I would just encourage you if you have an interest, come out to a meeting. We host them the second Wednesday of every month, and they're virtual, so you can do it right from inside your home, and you'll get to hear more about what we're doing locally.
Mm. Larry Paul. I like to call him Larry Paul Wilson from my Wilson family connection in White City in Hamilton.
Yes,
Blessings to you, brother. Can't wait to see you again in person and I'll talk to you on the next Trenton 365 Green Team podcast. Okay, friend?
absolutely. Thanks for having me, Jacque.
You're welcome. And there you have it, folks. Larry Paul, one of those folks that, again, I'm going to encourage you to find him. Get in touch with him, ask him some questions. Get engaged, get in where you fit in, even if it's not for you. Maybe you got a young person in your life, a niece, a nephew, a daughter, and a cousin, and someone who needs to talk to a well-rounded, knowledgeable man of color, man who fears God, a man who's got his experiences lined up with what he's doing, an agenda, as he has mentioned. Reach out to him. I think it's really important for you, and then parlay me into that, and then maybe we can record that conversation. And for those of you who are looking to get more messaging out about what your organization is doing, your nonprofit, your small business, stay tuned. The Trenton 365 Jacques R.E.A.C.H community calendar is coming. You can check out some of it on the Facebook page. Just look up Trenton 365 community calendar. In closing, folks, remember, it's always about justice, peace, and humility.